you have this new album, Autumn, and I was listening to it today, and it's what I love is you orchestrate your music. I don't know, I'm not.
We call it that too, actually.
Yeah, you orchestrate it really, really beautifully, and you can tell that there's a lot of almost like classical thought that goes into it. And
no training, by the way.
No training?
None, zero. So it's like a.
How is that possible? I don't understand.
Know. The great story I like to tell is when I was very young, I was tested as being gifted in music, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and they called my father, and he was a musician, and said, "Your son's probably a musical savant." I was 7 years old or something.
Mm-hmm.
And so a week later, they gave me a piece of paper, told me to circle the instrument that I wanted to play and that I needed instruction. And I went home, and my father saw the cost and ripped up the paper and threw it in the garbage. And that was the end of my musical life up to that point.
Oh, wow.
So somebody recognized early on that I had some kind of...
Do you remember what instrument you circled?
Saxophone.
Maybe your dad did you a favor.
I had a. Oh no,
You'd be touring with Sade right now.
No, it gets better. It's better. I had a step family, German and Polish,
Mm-hmm.
and the Polish Uncle Henry. When he found out that I wanted to play guitar when I was 14, he literally pulled me aside and said, "There's no future in the guitar. What you want to play is the accordion. You'll always have a job." And you know, when you're having that conversation, like, is this real? Is he really trying to convince me to play the accordion? And he was dead serious.
I think I can top that with an even more absurd story, which is I get the late night show in April of '93, so it's exactly
30 years. Here we are.
30 years since I was.
They haven't killed you yet.
They've tried. They've winged me a few times, but almost exactly 30 years ago, I get this job. It's announced that the replacement for David Letterman is going to be this guy Conan O'Brien. Everybody's saying, "Who is this guy? What's happening?" And I get a call from my uncle, who lives in Worcester, Mass., who I love, by the way. He's a great guy. Ned, and my uncle Ned calls me, and he says, "What is this? What are you doing?" I'm reading in the paper, and he said, "The law. You should study the law." He was talking to me about getting into law and trying to convince me that law was better than hosting one of only 3 late night shows in America, and he meant it. He meant
back
it.
when people actually watch late night.
Yeah, exactly. I know. So it was, but he was saying, I'll never forget, he said, "You can, as a lawyer, when you can be a performer in front of the judge, but you're also writing your own scripts when you prepare a case." But I'm like, no, I am not going to now call NBC and say, "This isn't happening. I'm going to..."
Can you imagine that conversation?
Going to law school. They would have said, "Fine, we'll get some other idiot."
Who ran the network back then?
It was a guy named Bob Wright ran the network. And I think he actually took a call from my uncle. That's true also, is that my uncle also called Bob Wright and said, "What do you do?" And then here's the connection. Bob Wright had gone to Holy Cross College in Worcester, and so had my uncle.
Oh, my goodness.
So he got through, and they said, "Conan's uncle's on the line and wants to talk to you." And so Bob Wright picked it up, and he was like, what are we doing here? I mean, you went to the cross. I went to the cross. Is this the right thing for him? I think the law would be better. And he, for years afterwards, would howl telling that story.
That's amazing.
Yeah, but he was right. I should have done it.
It almost sounds invented, but that's why it's so good.
No,
it's
that
true,
is a very true story. But here's what's amazing to me. This is Autumn has 33 songs on it, and
another career suicide, I was told.
No, I mean, I was listening to it.
I'm not joking.
It's so you're so prolific, but it's interesting because it's a lot of artists right now are focusing on these really small projects and singles and things like that, and you are willfully saying, "This is what I'm doing, and you're welcome to join me or not, but this is what I have decided to do."
Yeah, without being political, which is hard to do these days. I think the culture is sick and counterintuitive to the human experience, and so I've just made a decision. I'm going to do whatever I think is right for what I do, which is make music. Mm-hmm. And if people have a problem with it, then don't listen. I don't know. It's really weird to me when you sit in boardrooms and people try to talk a musician into not making music.
Yeah.
I mean, those are real conversations I have. And I'm like, I don't understand. Like, it's like saying, hey, you're really good at juggling. Don't juggle so much.
Yeah,
And
just
it's
a
like,
little.
But why? Like, I can't wrap my head around it emotionally or intellectually.
It reminds me of when the government is paying people to destroy crops in order to stabilize the price.
Yeah, that's some of the they get into kind of scarcity arguments.
Right.
Like less is more, and it's like, no, how about I'm going to be dead soon, and I'd rather leave my kids more songs than less. Like, let's start there. That's my math.
Right.
I don't care about your math anymore. In fact, your math is usually wrong.